Hi, welcome back to A Phone Dose of 3. Today's going to be one of our last video recording episodes together for a while.
So sad.
It is sad. I'm actually kind of excited because I hate this layout, but...
this layout is a little struggle, but it's okay.
I'm also claustrophobic, so this is great. Okay.
So
today we're going to be talking about fat shaming medicine. So let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's get into
it.
I
guess the question is, have you guys ever experienced fat shaming in healthcare? Even if you're working in healthcare, have you ever experienced, even yourself, having to tell your patients to lose weight or heard someone saying like, oh, you're overweight. You need to do something about that?
I think most recently, personally, I've never experienced in healthcare, in my household, yes, but in healthcare, no. But I've experienced it with my kid.
And how old is your kid?
He's about to be 3 years old on July. And so he's very tiny, but he eats a lot, okay? He eats a lot of snacks, and everything that he eats is homemade. I made everything.
Literally everything.
Okay, Miss Nara Smith.
So, basically, like in the recent checkup that we went, the doctor was trying to show me like something on his like the growing
the growth chart.
Yes, and then the BMI was red, because I know about like the BMI and healthcare. Like when I looked at it, I wasn't really tripping, but I was more waiting to see what she was going to say and how she was going to deliver it. Because I was like, if she's going to deliver it a certain way that it's like, oh, he needs to lose weight, da-da-da-da-da, then I'll be like, change me the provider, because that's not something that I won't, like, depending on their delivery, because I feel like that's really important. So when she was like showing me the growing chart, she's like, don't pay attention to the BMI. Yeah, it's red, but it's understandable. He's growing. And I'm like, okay, good. I like you. I'm like, okay, good. So he's not,
Okay, so she didn't like attack you for him being like overweight. Like,
no.
What was the difference? Like, how much was he considered like overweight?
So
how many pounds?
Because I think it was like 6 pounds, because he's 30 pounds and he's 2 years.
And he's short. So, when she said he's tiny, she doesn't mean like tiny. She meant like height tiny.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why.
Yeah.
And he's developing. He's gonna grow, so it makes sense. And I'm glad that she took that into consideration and wasn't like, your kid's overweight, because that can affect how you parent your child if you aren't in healthcare, if you don't have a good understanding of development in kids. Like, that could scare a parent,
because like especially with like his iron deficiency and all this stuff that we've been going through, like I was kind of scared, because with the iron deficiency they were like, yeah, like you should just have supplemented the food, and then kind of like made me feel guilty. So then I was like, I'm waiting on the delivery that she's gonna make for the BMI.
Mm-hmm.
But she was like, no, it's fine, like it's red, but don't pay attention to it. So like he wasn't being fat shamed, but he's just like, because I just see like, I don't know, I feel like the system needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
Because that BMI, especially for a little kid, like it's important, but again, there's other factors that play into it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that, I've heard this for a while, but like the BMI, I don't even know, like the chart or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard from multiple people that it's, I guess not its requirements or the numbers are like outdated.
Yeah, it's very outdated because it doesn't incorporate muscles. Like, I'm speaking more so adults too. They go based off of height and weight, and then that's how you get your BMI.
Yeah.
But like some people can be very muscular.
Yeah.
And then because they're very muscular and have like less fat, of course their BMI is going to be higher than normal. Like it'll be high or out of range.
Yeah, and I actually had a family member who went to the doctor when they were younger, and the doctor basically told them they were overweight, and I was shocked because in my opinion, they were not overweight. I thought they were relatively healthy. They were still, I would say maybe middle school, and they were still developing. Again, in my opinion, I don't feel like they were overweight. So I thought the delivery also wasn't the best, because especially like I think when you're young, you have social media, the influence of of so many things out in the world. For someone to tell you you're overweight, that can affect your your body image and the way you see yourself. And I think that could be very detrimental to somebody's health and their future, because that could affect them. One instance could affect their whole life. They could develop eating disorders and things. So just, I think there does need to be, better education on how to deliver like that information, and maybe some fixing of like the outdated numbers and like the way they determine BMI.
Yeah. And I also think, to add on, delivery is very, very important, because as some of you know, I'm in my peds rotation. And so I'm with a doctor at a different clinic, and I'm there 2 days a week. And last week was like my first like rotation there, and I remember getting a patient. She was like a 1-year-old. She was a cute little girl. She would be considered like a little chunky girl, but mind you, she was only 1 years old. And I remember that doctor, like her delivery was like way off. I think the girl, she was only 3 pounds overweight, but she like told her mom to basically put her on a diet, and the delivery was like off because the doctor's personality is very like direct. Blunt. Yes, it's very direct. And so a person who's not used to that, they may pick that up as being rude, because she was like, yeah, the last time you came for her well checked up visit, like she was in the right percentile. Now it's like over, and she was like, cut out this. She should not be drinking more than, I think it was 24 ounces of milk. She said, have baked foods, baked chicken, vegetables, stay away from fried food. But it was more so like attacking, it wasn't
like the tone of voice and everything.
Yeah, it wasn't more so like,
that all adds to it.
Yeah, and the mom was like looking at me, I'm looking at the mom, and I'm a student, so I'm just standing in the back, and I'm
just a baby.
I'm here to learn. But even me, I felt like the delivery was off. And another thing that could be the problem is culturally.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Black people and brown people, in the sense that it's normalized to be overweight in a sense. And not like overweight, but it's just, for us, it's different. I know with Black people, we would want to be like more curvy in a sense than like super skinny. But for white people, like the standard of is them being like super, super skinny and tiny, and same with Asians as well. So that's another reason why maybe we feel this way, because like culturally, like we were brought up like a different way.
And just also also the portioning too. Like,
yes. And you have to eat all your food before you leave the table.
That was a big thing with me. Like, I was really overweight as a child. I was a roly-poly-oly, okay? I was a roly-poly-oly.
She had the cheeks that you want to, like, squish.
I was a roly-poly-oly. I remember my aunt being like, I loved going to your karate because when you did the somersaults. Yeah, no. Yeah. But I remember growing up and then being like, you are not getting up from this table until everything is done. Yeah. And that's the way I grew up. You clean your plate.
Yeah.
And even to this day, it's something I'm trying to correct.
To break. It's like, if you're full, you should be able to stop eating. Like, you don't have to eat everything on your plate.
I'm trying to correct that, because it's hard. Like, you grow up a certain way. That's what you're used to. And then, I mean, even me, I get to a point where I don't even realizing I'm overeating because I'm so used to finishing a plate. So now I have to actually serve myself like smaller portions. And if I'm still hungry, then I can have to get up and get another plate. But it's hard to break, these bad habits. Even like your culture, like you're not going to eat beans without a tortilla. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And then again, it's not a lot of people can afford, fruits and vegetables cost way more than
that's
going to the fast food restaurants.
It's a big difference too.
It's a big difference.
And even like the ease with which you can get it with, to make a healthy meal, you need to go to the store. And, if you live in a what do they call them, food deserts, so you don't have as many stores available, you don't have access to that. So what's closer? McDonald's.
You have that literally on every corner.
And that's exactly where I live. Like, for me to go grocery shopping, I have to go like 30-35 minutes. but you will for sure know I'll have a McDonald's right in the corner.
Yeah.
Or I would have a 7-Eleven, 2 blocks. 7-Eleven doesn't sell fruit.
Yeah,
Like, some of them do, some, So, yeah, I feel like sometimes as healthcare providers, they forget that there's all these other factors that they have to take into consideration. Like, it's not that just the mom doesn't want to give their child or their dad vegetables or like a right meal, but sometimes it's just what they could afford.
Yeah.
So
they're just trying to feed their kid.
Right. So just forget these upstream factors that are very important before doing a delivery, that, hey, you need to put your kid in a diet. Well, maybe what do you give him?
Yeah, like what is your
what's
child
like
normally?
a normal plate that you give it? And then if the mom says, well, 2 potatoes, a scoop of rice, and meat. Well, maybe take out the
choose one of the carbs. Either give them the potato or the rice.
Yeah, like educate instead of attack.
Yeah, good providers, they will do that.
Yeah,
not all the providers are like that, but the delivery is very important. Like you said, also figuring out like, oh, what are you feeding your child? Because growing up. Because not everyone knows what's considered proper nutrition and what's considered like junk food.
Yeah. Right.
Like for me, same with Jasmine, we have to like break the bad habits. Like growing up, yes, my mom cooked home cooked meals, but there was a lot of times where we were eating fast foods. I enjoy eating fast food.
Same.
Honestly.
Same. There was times where my mom worked a lot, my stepdad worked a lot, and so my mom would cook meals when she could. There was a lot of times where she couldn't make meals, so we were going to fast food because stepdad didn't cook.
And it was more convenient. It was easier. It was like, you're hungry, here's an option for you to eat, and it's the quickest. Without all the stress. So even like breaking those habits of something that we considered normal, and now that we're adults and educating ourselves in a sense, it's like, oh wow, this is not healthy. And I see it a lot. Like even with my dad and my sister Jade, who has diabetes. When Jade was like living with my dad, he didn't understand what increases sugar. He thought like literally just eating sweets would make her sugar go up. And so many people believe that.
It's my mom that she has diabetes.
She's like, I'm not giving her candy. I'm not giving her cakes and cookies. But I'm like, she's over here eating a bag of chips, rice, French fries, all this like fried food.
It's super important to educate.
Yeah, because it's my mom. So I'm very, I don't want to say like I'm the police of the house, but I see that.
I'm like, I think I can see it for sure. Yeah.
But I just don't want to get them sick. Like, I don't want them to get sick, Like, if I could avoid my dad, he's like, 60 something, and thank God he doesn't have no like pre-existing diseases.
Health conditions.
So I want to keep him that way. And my mom, she has all the pre-existing conditions in the book, so
that's normal for our diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol,
thyroid problems. So I'm just like, so I'm trying to, since she already has all the pre-existing conditions, at least keep her healthy, like maintaining them. Yes. So I'm always, Mom, what are you eating? And then I see her plate. She serves a little plate, but then I'm like, okay, I think she's gonna be done. She gets up, gets another plate. I'm like, dude, that's not the point. If you're gonna eat that one little plate, that's it.
In my opinion, because I said that I do the same thing, because I'm like, that's me watching myself.
But that's because, so my mom, she has really bad habits, and I'm trying to break them, because she when she gets. So I don't know if she grew up with like body image issues that she kind of passed on to me, that she, like, when she feels herself like getting chunky, she doesn't eat the whole day. And then that's for her to like lose weight. And I'm like, that is not a healthy way to lose weight. Instead of just starving yourself, why don't you portion yourself? And then what happens when you don't eat the whole day? Then you're just gonna have one time in the day and just gonna binge everything that you see. And then when she recently, so she never wanted to admit that she got diagnosed with diabetes. She's like, I am pre-diabetic. I'm like, you're diabetic. I am pre-diabetic. And I'm like, Lord,
help me.
And then I was like, help me, Lord, help me. And then I'm like, she's like, I don't even eat sweets, and I'm like, it's not just in the sweets because
Yeah.
she likes like
carbs,
bread,
complex
like
carbs.
yeah, like
Yeah,
she
yeah,
likes like the Mexican bread, the sweet
The
bread,
pan dulce.
Pan dulce.
and then she likes toast. She likes chicharrones. I'm like, it's just all the bad things, and it's okay to eat it because I am a believer that you don't have to like take the good stuff out. Just maybe just eat. Yeah, just maybe just eat a little portion.
Moderation.
Of it. Yes. So then we'll go into arguments because she's like, but I'm not eating candy. I'm like, but there's something called carbs, and the carb becomes sugar, and the sugar and that's what's like increasing your numbers.
And they're like, you don't know anything.
Yeah, and I'm just like, but now she believes me a little more because I have my RN license. But other than that,
good thing that she still believes you, because you can have your license, they still won't believe you.
no. And then when she don't believe me, then I call my backup, which is my brothers, and I'm like, listen, you need to talk to her because I don't know what to do.
Talk to your mom.
Yes.
Has it changed a little bit?
Yeah, now she's a bit better with like her eating habits and everything, but it's hard because sometimes like she's like a little kid. Like I know when she goes to the store is bad because she goes to her store by herself and then she starts eating at the store.
That's one thing I've learned
Your
about
mom
myself.
does that too. Like when you go in the store and like shop, it's like, oh, let me just start eating.
But that's the thing. When I go starving to eat groceries, it's bad.
It's bad.
No,
Whatever.
that's literally what I was gonna say. Is I make it a thing to eat before I go because I want the whole store.
The whole store.
I want the whole store.
Yeah. So
and there's no stopping me. Except for if I don't have the money.
But then you'll start choosing like the unhealthy stuff and the snacks and opposed to the stuff you need.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
gosh.
So yeah, I understand like what Linda's saying, like the lack of education. It doesn't help when they're trying to make the right choice, and it's very common in our community.
It is, yeah.
And then like, sorry.
Go.
And then even I feel like sometimes when they have this like educational what's it called, like when they go out in the community and then try to educate the community, but
Outreach.
do outreach, sometimes they come early in the morning. No one is at home early in the morning because everybody's trying to make that money.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
I wish like sometimes it would be like in the afternoon or because I feel like our community needs a lot of educating
and guidance and
resources too, because
resources.
Food is expensive.
Yeah.
Right now,
Well,
food is so expensive. So I get why people are going to McDonald's and the cheaper. And even that's getting out of hand too. It's getting really expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a lot of the times everything is based on survival. It's like you're gonna eat this hamburger from McDonald's that costs $2, or you can't afford the other stuff.
Yeah,
So-
and then especially right now with rent.
Oh,
Rent is expensive.
Look at us digressing.
So sorry. So it's just
Real quick too, there was something I had mentioned. Since we're talking about, I think we mentioned food deserts and affordability of food. I do remember seeing on the news or something that San Francisco had opened up a free store for people to like buy groceries. I don't remember it, but we will link it.
Is it like free groceries or something?
Free groceries?
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
free groceries.
good.
I'm gonna link it into the description so we can have people look for that as well.
Yeah. So going back on our original comment of being like fat shamed in healthcare, and how it may affect a person's developmentally, in a sense, their self-esteem. But then again, like we said, a lot of the things we're not normalizing. We're not trying to normalize the unhealthy eating. We just saying like we understand why it's so hard for many to choose the right foods.
Yeah, yeah, I agree because I still struggle with that myself, and I'm trying to make those changes, and I'm trying to make, I'm studying all these diseases and blah, 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 and I'm not making the changes myself. So I really don't want to also have these, health issues later in life. Because a lot of the things that happen is, like a lot of the heart diseases, right? Because heart disease is the number one, I think, killer in America, I believe. I think it's the number one. A lot of these conditions like heart disease, they don't develop till later in your life. And so it's these daily habits that we have to work towards so that we don't get there. It doesn't happen overnight. So that's something that's really important. But also, like, when people when you go to healthcare, when you go to your doctor and they talk to you like this, like healthcare is a scary place already, and you don't want to made feel like you're not. I don't know, like it's just uncomfortable. It's an uncomfortable feeling to go to your provider and feel like you're being attacked. You know.
Yeah, that's why the delivery is very important.
Yeah.
Because as a provider, you should be able to tell your patients like, hey, you know, I see your BMI is going up. You know, some, because like you said, it happens over time. So if you're able to correct the problem at a young age, as an adult, that would not be an issue.
Right.
So going back on what we were saying, like if we would have been brought up with knowing how to like proper nutrition and physical activities, as an adult we wouldn't be struggling with the problems we're having now. Like as an adult, that's when I had to learn like, oh, maybe I need to increase my intake of fruits and vegetables. I need to, you know, incorporate some type of physical activity daily. Like if I can't run, you know, go to the gym and work out, I should at least be walking 30 minutes a day.
And that's another misconception that that happens in our community, that when doctor says you need to exercise, people straight start thinking like, oh, we need to like hardcore exercise. No, we could just walk around your block. Yeah, just move your body.
Yeah.
That way you don't like, you know, like they say move it to not lose it. Because like, you know, just to like, because that muscle memory, you want to work it, you want to work on your health. So I think like that's important, that just when they say exercise, you don't have to like lift heavy weights or anything. Just walking around the block, walking your dog, that's
something.
Good. Yeah.
Because some people like don't realize how like how much they don't move. What is it called?
Sedentary?
Yes, because even then I have like an Apple Watch, and there's some days when I was like super just in the house trying to study, I look at my watch and it was like, oh, you only did 2,000 steps today.
Yeah.
And minimum, you at least should be doing 10,000 steps.
Yeah.
So if you don't realize how much you're not moving your body until you're able to have like maybe like an Apple Watch or something, and it's like, oh, I'm not even moving around that often.
Yeah. And then that's what, so because my mom had surgery, my dad had to take care of her. And he's basically very active, like on the treadmill. Girl, he was just taking care of his wife, so he didn't do any exercise, and he gained weight.
Oh, your dad?
Yes, like because we have like a camera, like a ring bell camera, and then he went back to work this week, and then him and my fiance, they joke around a lot. And then you could see my dad in the pit, like my fiance took a picture, and my dad has a belly.
And then, you guys trying to clown your dad.
And then because they mess around a lot. So then my dad was like, oh my God, I gained that much weight. And I'm like, picture doesn't lie.
Oh my
goodness. The picture would be a wake up call.
Yeah. So then he started walking every night, like doesn't like, you know, vigorously walk, but walking around the block. Yeah. Cause he's like, oh my God, I did gain weight. And I'm like, and I always say this in a place from love, because the way that he was delivered to me when I was growing up, it was like, well, you look fat. Like, but it was more like a rude way to me.
Was that from your family or from your doctors?
No, from my mom.
Okay.
If that's from the doctors, ooh. But
sorry,
yeah, that's,
honey.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so it was from my mom. So that's why I'm always so consciously aware of how I say things to people, and then how I speak about other people's bodies, because you don't know what they're going through. So that's why when I tell my dad, I was like, yeah, but we're not saying because you need to look fit because you're 60 something. Like, no, I'm just saying because I don't want him to have this pre-existing condition.
Heart health.
Yes.
Heart health.
Yes. So we were just talking in the house, and then he just started walking now. And then I also told him, like, babe, maybe you should eat, because in Colombia how they eat is like soup, then the main course, then a salad, then a juice, and that was normal.
Yeah.
So it was a lot. So then that's why I'm trying to teach him that portions matter, that he could steal everything in the plate, but just portions.
Yeah.
I heard there's a way to eat your food too. I heard that. Yeah, I heard there's a way, because they were like, I don't know where I read this, but basically, you know how they're like, you can still have carbs, you can still have vegetable, everything, but there's a way to eat it so like your calories, it's like a more efficient way of eating. Your body metabolizes it more efficiently, So you eat your veggies first, I think, and then your protein, and then your carbs last.
I just
So
mix
and I
everything.
think they do that too, so you by the time you
You're
get
full.
there, you're full.
Yeah.
Because even then, I think I mentioned it before, but for our class assignment back in religion class back in high school, when they gave us an assignment for like the month to like at least chew your food at least 30 times.
Oh yes,
Because when you don't realize it, like you chew your food like 3 to 4 times and that's it. But if you're sitting there chewing and keep chewing by the like you get full faster instead of like rushing to eat. Because like when I'm hungry, girl, I'm hungry. I'm
same.
inhale,
Savage over
yes.
here.
Nothing left behind type of thing.
Yes,
But then you realize like you weren't chewing your food properly.
Yeah.
What I was gonna say, so I'm happy that we're learning this now because one thing again, growing up, I was always made fun of my weight. Like I feel like when I was around 10 years old, that's when I started gaining weight. So I was always fat shamed by my family. Again, I'm the youngest of my siblings, so my sister that's above me always called me fat and all these other things, short and fat. She was always tall and skinny. So
That's hard to hear.
Yeah, so
growing up, I can
that's
see
the
that.
reason why I have body image problems.
Yeah, no, that's really hard. I don't necessarily feel like I was fat shamed, but everybody in my family, like all my cousins were thin. I was the only one that was not thin.
Oh.
Yeah. So I remember like definitely taking photos. I would always like feel awkward.
Yeah.
Maybe that's also why I don't like being on camera, you know?
Exactly. And it's crazy because it was just like my family calling me overweight, but like my friends and everything, like, oh, you're not overweight. Like, you're perfect. Like, you got a body, da 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 da. But literally,
we're like, she has the best body.
Yeah, but my family was like, girl, you're overweight. And then now, and I'm thinking about it, it's like my body, in a sense, was mature too before like everyone else. Because I always had a butt. Like, my butt was like always big and everything. So I just feel like just
no BBLs here.
body. Like, I always had like body image problems.
Yeah,
right.
And I said that to say, like, I'm happy, like, I am learning, like, proper nutrition. And maybe because, like, my own traumas and stuff when it comes to body image, like, I'm already thinking, like, oh, I don't want to put that, like, on my daughter or my kids, but I do want them to
learn proper nutrition
so they don't have to worry about, like, being overweight.
And I agree, because I feel like we weren't taught proper nutrition for various reasons, but that's also something that I don't want my kids to struggle with because it's hard. It affects your daily daily life with everything.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
and not just like the way you feel, but like literally like your body, your health, your actual health, like
exactly.
So I think it's really important to set these what do you call it, like these not these expectations, but to teach them early on. Yeah.
And stop the cycle of bad habits.
Yeah.
Because in reality, a child should not be made fun of their body weight or being overweight, because a child does not go grocery shopping. They're not buying the food. It's the parents. But then again, the parents does not understand like what to feed their kid,
because it wasn't taught to them.
It wasn't taught to them.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it's not fair. Like, you call me fat, but I'm not over here. I'm just eating what
it's because you're
giving me. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
My mom didn't. She wasn't the one that was like body shaming me. She probably called me fat a few times, but it was more so, of course, like family, like cousins, uncles, aunts, sisters, siblings. So yeah,
and then that's what I because I don't talk about it. Things like one of the few times that I talk about it, and that's why at the house, because we like share a house with my parents. I made it clear. I'm like, to Tiago, I don't want him to hear about fat and skinny, nothing. I just want to hear about like, oh, you look your muscles, or like, oh, you look. I don't want him to know that, because I don't want him to affect the way that he affected me. So. I think my mom tried to make a comment like a few weeks, and I just shut it down. I was like, no. It's like, even if he doesn't understand, it doesn't matter. I don't want him to be talked about fat and skinny, because you don't understand what harm is doing.
And and then at this age too, like, he's not thinking about that too, and he doesn't need to be thinking about that.
Yeah, and he doesn't need to be right. So if he's not thinking about it, you don't have to put it in his brain. So yeah, definitely. I'm trying to not make, because I'm not perfect. But I'm just not trying to make the same mistakes that were made when I was growing up.
Yeah. So they don't have to be worrying about going to therapy and fix all of these body image problems.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. We just wanted to reiterate that, you know, everyone is still learning all these new habits, and it's a lot of information that we may not have learned, or even, you know, patients are still learning as well. And so any future healthcare providers out there, when delivering important information such as, you know, weight, BMI, or things like this, nutrition, just, you know, understand that everyone has a different environment. Everyone comes from a different culture. And so when delivering this information, just, you know, ensure that you're delivering it with grace and understanding, because that's going to make a big outcome and affect the way the individual or the patient receives that information. So
yeah, so thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of PD3 with your hosts Linda, Jasmine, and Kathy. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe at a potent dose of 3 so that you never miss an episode and your weekly dose.